We'll go through a few slides that I've got here for you, just to really look at the market, what's happening in Vietnam, specifically Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, and we'll get a quick update on the legal aspects of doing business in Vietnam, and then we'll look at a survey that was recently concluded by CBRE in Asia Pacific, and it looks at a sample, a survey of retailers in the region and how they view Asia Pacific, how they view Southeast Asia, and more importantly, how they view Vietnam. And then we'll just look at some of the opportunities that have arisen recently in Hanoi and further afield. So the Ho Chi Minh City market, this is a nice graph. It says several things. Basically, this little line here is the important one. This is indicating the rentals. So the rentals in the core areas, the prime areas, have pretty much stayed quite smooth for a number of years. Probably only dropped about 10% in the last 2.5 years. So very much the District 1 area, and suddenly currently just about below $100 square meter a month, compared to the non-CBD locations, where we're probably looking at about $35, $36 per square meter a month on average. And that hasn't dropped very much over the last couple of years. Also, vacancies have remained fairly stable, and that would be because of supply hasn't been increasing that greatly. So vacancies at about 15%, and that's pretty stable. Some of the new retailers that have entered the market just recently. We'll start to see the new department store Robbins making an impact on the market. Robbins comes out of Central Group out of Thailand, and they've got about 12,000 square meters in the Crescent Mall, opening in November 2014. They already opened up in Hanoi, in Royal City already. And some new furniture brands coming to the market for the first time, occupying some prime space on Don Quai Street and Wing Wai, and that's in the Times City Tower in Don Quai, Times Square. Some of the expansion plans that some of the foreign retailers have at the moment in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, but Baskin-Robbins has just opened, I think it's 20th store, and also got one in Hanoi. Cafe Bene, which I think is represented here this evening, just on the first deal in Ho Chi Minh City. This is a Korean coffee brand, and will open in District 1 in the site of the old Esprit shop on Don Quai, with their first store in Q3, with a plan to open more. Obviously, McDonald's has made a bit of an impact with 3 stores already, and Starbucks trading very well with their 8th store, I think, about to open, and their first store in Hanoi opening before the end of the year. And then Aeon, not just a retailer, but the shopping centre developer, got their first store up out in Saladon, and then their new shopping mall to open in Binh Duong, Q4 2014 at the Cannery Heights. Okay, so there's some of the projects in the not too distant future. This year would be the Tao Dien Pool would be the next one. The other two, I think, are up and done. And then the next one would be Tao Dien Pool, which is just fitting out and leasing at the moment. In 2015, a few more projects. The quality is starting to get there with Vivo City. I think maybe some of you went for the signing ceremony in the Grand Hyatt Park Hyatt last week, Friday, and they'd signed up maybe 40–45% of the tenants already in there, a bunch of anchor tenants, including the cinema CJCGV, So they've leased up half of their 72,000 square meters of gross space. Another project in District 10, this is Viet Tower project, 4 floors in a fairly highly dense populated area. And the Lemon CT Plaza, I think you're familiar with CT Group with the airport, Parkson, and maybe the recent tie-in that they've arranged with the Auchan French supermarket, and Parkson will take that Lemon one as well. And then also in 2015, a couple of more projects. In District 3 we have SSG Tower, District 7 Sunrise City Phase 2, and in District 3 we have the Lim Tower 2 as well. And then in 2016 onwards, some very exciting projects coming your way. Not least of all, the one that I think you've been seeing quite a lot of construction progress is Saigon Centre. And that's the next phase of that one. That's with the Takashimaya department store occupying half of the space. The other one under construction is the one, that's the Bitexco one, and 3 others that are on the drawing board, which should start seeing some activity quite soon, is Tax Plaza in District 1, Nguyen, and Metropolis in District 2, and maybe in a year's time, hence maybe Festival City, that's the Jai development in District 10. Okay. So that's what the market looks like in terms of Ho Chi Minh City and the supply. So we have about this much supply, which is about 550,000 square meters in 2014 in Ho Chi Minh City. This little light green cap indicates the new supply. But because of the huge new supply in Hanoi over these last 6 months, then we've got about 1.1 million potentially by the end of 2014. But probably Times City Phase 2 will not happen. So you can probably take this down to under 1 million square meters by the end of 2014. So about 900,000 square meters. So, but it looks like a lot, but it's actually not a lot compared to the region. We still relatively small. Here's Hanoi, and this is Ho Chi Minh City. This was Kyoto 3, so it was before the Times City. Quite a lot of projects came along. So you can understand why the foreign developers are still quite excited about this market. They still see that the market is undersupplied in terms of retail space, and lots of gaps and chances for investing in the retail market when we've got under 0.1 square meters per capita in our market. So relatively small by comparison. Just moving up to Hanoi. This is a picture of Times City, which opened I think on 24th of December last year. The market itself, the rents have dropped off in the core areas quite rapidly just recently, and that's as the supply goes up, you see the rents go down. So we've gone from $110 a square meter down to just about $85 a square meter. But that's not just shopping centres, that takes in retail podium spaces and some of the shops that are attached to the hotels and some of the retail lobbies in places like maybe Ascot or So's Apartment or Pacific Place office tower. The rentals in the decentralized or non-core locations are significantly lower. So we look at about, similar to Ho Chi Minh City, about $36 a square meter a month. Occupancies up here to about 80%. So you can see that we've got in Hanoi a bit more vacancy than in Ho Chi Minh City, probably at about 20% vacancy sits at about 20%. In terms of new retailers to the market, let's have a quick look there. For the most recent one, this is quite an interesting case because it just kind of typifies a familiar strategy with the foreign retailers coming to Ho Chi Minh City first, building up 20 stores, and then moving into Hanoi with their first store. Maybe they would look at the high street first, and make their entrance where they've got high visibility. Maybe the rents could be slightly higher, but once they're established, they're moved on, they expand, they look in shopping centres, perhaps rentals are a little bit lower, they can get more services, security, tenure in those shopping centres. Some of the movements in Hanoi as well have been the CJCGV, and you'll see quite a bit of repositioning or improvements from the old megastar into the new CJCGV. Huge improvements, keeping up with the market. Demands are obviously greater from consumers and from competition. That's come into a market that is become quite saturated with a lot of cinemas. But CGV, to keep their position, has had to continue to improve their cinemas. This little graph here, we'll talk in a little bit more detail, but this is just indicating that Vietnam is one of the top markets for foreign retailers to look at when expanding through Southeast Asia or through Asia generally. Some of the new projects in Hanoi, we've got 2014, for instance, Mer Market should open by the end of the year. Ogun Plaza, which is Ha Dong, also should open by the end of the year. And the big one, which is going to make a bit of an impact on the market, is Lotte department store, which is really the first Lotte department store in the country. So this is not the Lotte shopping, this is Lotte Center. So it will be mixed, maybe 20,000 square meters, mixed with cosmetics, accessories, casual men's, casual ladies, food court, and a typical department store way. So that's expecting to open in beginning of September, along with the office tower, and the hotel, and the service department component. So that's a big development to open, quite spectacular design by the end of the third quarter. There's some projects in 2015 and 2016. We expect Aeon Mall in Long Bien, Vin Group with another shopping centre in Huy Chi Tang, and Sequoia, which has been on hold for a while, coming through perhaps in 2016 as well. So in terms of market sentiment and some legal updates, we'll have a look at what's going on. This is a consumer index, or an index on confidence levels, and done by Nielsen, as you can see. This line here, this represents 100. So anything above the line indicates a bit of confidence and optimism, and anything below the line indicates a bit of pessimism and not so confident. Okay, so what we're saying here in Vietnam is that confidence has been growing over the last few quarters. So we're at about 99 on this index. So we're almost getting into the confidence stakes. Now, so we're not really there, we're not really that confident, but we're more confident than our friends in places like Malaysia, where confidence has gone down. Globally, confidence has hardly moved. Thailand, Philippines, where confidence has also gone down slightly. And that's just in Asia. So that indicates that consumers would start spending again. Well, one would hope. They are spending, but they're spending mainly on groceries, as you can see. And then when it comes to retail, they're spending mainly on eating out, drinking out, entertainment. The majority of the customers are spending on that kind of entertainment, and then secondly, more on education. But as with any other market, then supermarket, grocery shopping would come first. Some good news. If the confidence levels didn't give you the good news, a little bit more good news is some changes, some positive effects on the market over the next 12 months, particularly with ASEAN and a reduction of import duties to zero or more or less zero on about 10,000 products that we can bring in and hopefully sell at a more reasonable price. And then products that are going out, the EU will reduce tax rates to 0 on 90% of the products that we are sending out to Europe, whereas previously it was just 42%. And then in terms of bringing new retail businesses into Vietnam, with the World Trade Organization obligations to open the market up to foreign retailers by 2015 in January, should create more activity in the market, and obviously bring in new brands, new retailers, new developers, particularly those from Asia. Okay, so in terms of a bit of an outlook for the market, not sure if you can see that, but with the opening up of retail, we expect more foreign retail developers. They will have modern, tried and tested international concepts, and they will create more competition for shopping centres that are struggling, that have maybe not got their formats quite right. So all shopping centres will need to be a lot more creative with their marketing. They'll need to be more price sensitive with their rentals, and they will obviously be competing with high streets, who will also be finding more and more competition, and online shopping as well, and how to get those 80% of the consumers that are not shopping in shopping centres, how to drive them into shopping centres. That requires a carefully worked out strategy, particularly in marketing. International retailers will obviously pay more attention if it's easier to get into this market. So we're expecting more retailers to come in, but how they find spaces in the CBDs will be quite tough. So more likely we'll see people spreading out into the non-core areas. In Hanoi particularly, where there's almost a moratorium or no longer any more commercial developments taking place, one would think that if you have stores in Vinh Kombacha or Chang Tien Plaza, you would want to hang on to those, because there won't be any new stores coming along, and most likely the prices will go up there as well. Okay, we're just going to look at a survey that is done annually by CBRE, and we look at a selection of, it's not a small selection, it's a wide selection. It's about 130, 150 retailers, many international brands that actually have a presence in the Asia-Pacific region. And we survey them, we ask them certain questions, we ask them, and then from that we kind of figure out what's likely to be happening and start making assumptions as what's likely to happen in retail, particularly in the shopping centre business over the next couple of years. So we'll look at economically and what the prospects are for consumers in Asia Pacific and Vietnam particularly, which countries, which cities the retailers are looking to move into, and how they move in, what they look for in retail properties, and what they look for in terms of operations models. So there is some good news in that we look at this is the world on average. This yellow one here, or this is Europe, and this is the US, and then this is Asia. Okay, so we're looking with a lot more growth in Asia than we are on any of the other continents. So that's the good news, and then the second piece of good news is that in terms of GDP and growth, then Vietnam ranks #1 as the amongst our other neighbours as the ones that's expected to show an increase in 2014. Obviously, China and Philippines, Indonesia have got higher GDP growth rates, but it's actually slowing. But Vietnam is increasing. Moving on to the next slide. In terms of consumer confidence, I did touch on that Vietnam was at 99, and there it is. The poor guys in Thailand, Malaysia and Australia, confidence is waning. So if you've any Australians, then please go cheer them up. They could do with cheering up, get them a beer, because Vietnam is on the brink of being positive again, whereas some of those countries, poor Thailand, is suffering slightly. Okay. In terms of retailers remaining positive, I'm not sure how many, if I asked you to put your hands up, whether 76% of you would say that you're positive about the future, but of all the retailers that we surveyed, then 76% of them, or more than 50% of them, over the whole of Asia Pacific, were positive about the future. Okay. So in terms of percentage of retailers intending to open new stores and where they're going to open them, so on a country basis, we have Vietnam. 33% of them said they would open new stores in Vietnam. They were supporting Southeast Asia because Southeast Asia has a relatively young population, emerging middle class, and an increasing supply of retail space. So certainly Vietnam did do well on a country basis. And then on a city basis, Hanoi fared even better, with slightly higher than Ho Chi Minh City, with 36% of respondents saying that they would open their stores in Hanoi and 33% in Ho Chi Minh City. And that compares well to, even Da Nang got a mention there. That compares well to many of the other cities in the region. It must be the charm of Hanoi that's in the thing. What are retailers looking for when they do come into the market? Well, they prefer shopping centres. Of those retailers that were surveyed, 53% of them were saying that they would prefer to come into shopping centres. 30% of them would go into the high street, and the rest of them in such places as outlet parks or retail parks and so on. But they would prefer shopping centres if they were had a proper tenant mix, a good tenant mix. The tenant mix was managed. They'd prefer shopping centres that were well positioned, and they would prefer shopping centres that had a marketing strategy. So these retailers that they said they would come to a shopping centre, 53% of them, but it had to have those management issues. Okay. In terms of expansion plans, the expansion plan is slow but steady. So we've got 45% of them saying that 1 to 5 stores. Okay. Not a huge amount of stores, and particularly F&B retailers, out of all those retailers, were the most ambitious. Easy for them to be ambitious because the developers are quite keen to support them. The developers are looking to get F&B retailers into their shopping centres to increase the footfall. So sure, less stores, taking less space, does create competition amongst the developers, so that gets back to the management issues. In terms of size, the retailers were, 40% of them were looking for slightly larger sizes than they used to be looking for. So now 100 square meters to 250 square meters. And that's because of the online retailing, a lot more competition. So these stores need to be providing a much greater product assortment. They need to have a much more defined brand image. They need to motivate consumers to buy by being much more interactive and just having a better, having more character. So stores are likely to get bigger. In terms of how tenants or how retailers want to operate, well, I think it goes without saying that they all want to operate 100%. They want their own stores. They don't want to joint venture or share them. They've been forced in places like Vietnam and India to JV in order to get into a market. But certainly almost 60% of them would just prefer to be in the stores by themselves. Or in an emerging market situation, they'll come through the franchise route and they'll find a franchisee to help them. And that was the case of nearly 40% would prefer to find a franchisee. Okay. So what does all that mean in terms of it's a positive outlook? Economic growth in the Asia-Pacific region is continuing to outperform all other regions, particularly the US and the Eurozone. And that's brought about by stable employment and consumers supporting the retail. Okay. Where do the retailers want to open stores? Well, they want to open in the Southeast Asia, where you've got fast growth, and Vietnam is one of those places. And what retail formats? Definitely they'll come by themselves, and they will hopefully with the WTO 2015 they will come in wholly owned, and they want to be in well-managed malls. That goes without saying. Okay, so that was the result of our little survey that CBRE did amongst well-known retailers, maybe about 150 of them in the Asia-Pacific region. Some of the projects that we're looking at the moment in Ho Chi Minh City and further afield, I'll just go through with you. And one of those that maybe you did notice on Dong Khoi, it's got some CBRE posters up at the moment, and we have a little bit of information for you. And we have Laszlo in the room. Laszlo's right there, and he can please have a chat with him later if you're interested in learning a little bit more about probably one of the best locations in District 1 at the moment. And there was a few shops there, some of them inside, some of them outside. One on the outside that you probably will see on the corner is 334 square meters with fantastic visibility. This one here. And on the inside there were some shops as well, looking for some souvenir, gift, fashion, jewelry items. That's just a 63 square meter unit. We can provide you with floor plans, location plans that you need. We will, in the next couple of months, I think going over to September, we'll run an opportunities in Vietnam workshop where we'll invite you to come along and see for yourself, or we'll explain to you how to get into this Cambodian market. And Laszlo is spending a couple of weeks a month there at the moment. There's quite a lot of activity. And Aeon just opened a shopping mall in Phnom Penh. I think there's nearly 200 tenants in that shopping mall. It's quite similar to the one at Celadon. It has an ice skating ring, as well as some movie houses. It's got some Vietnamese originated retailers, and some from Thailand and some from Japan, and some out of the local market. So well worth a visit to see what modern retailing looks like in Phnom Penh for the first time. Some of the projects that we're working on is Parkson. I've got a shopping centre open there. They'll take half of it for themselves as a department store, and the other half of it they will lease out as a shopping centre. A big, large space, fantastic location, and we've got a lot of information on that Parkson project here. This is the shopping mall area, and this is a hotel that stands behind it. And then this one that's almost completed is a Benoy designed shopping centre, podium, and then the rest of it is office space, and there's a hotel in here somewhere, built by I think a banking organisation, Batanak Capital, and that's available immediately for high-end luxury retail. So please do take a chance to spend some time in Phnom Penh, but as I say, we will have a short workshop for you. We'll get together here in a couple of months' time and give you some more information on that as well. So if there are any questions, then please feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, then we can go back to having a quick glass of wine or a beer and some more snacks, and we can answer any questions.